So Kiwi is one of the more misunderstood characters in Edgerunners. She was Lucy's mentor. She constantly shows she's able of hacking large groups of enemies with a single glance, and if we were to apply her build to Cyberpunk 2077, she'd actually be way more scary than the show portrays her to be. That's why today we'll focus on her build, how it differs from Lucy's similar high intelligence one, and why this is the perfect setup for ultimate combos. Now in the show, Kiwi doesn't really use any real firepower outside purely her net running skills. That's why the primary and only weapon we'll be using with her build are going to be Cyberdex. There are a few options here, but ultimately it boils down to just two, especially in the endgame. The first one would be the Tetratronic Rippler MK4 that you get from Nina the Ripper Dog in Charterhill if you already have 40 street cred. But this is by far the best all-arounder and especially the best suited for this build. Some of its unique advantages are the 75% reduction in quick hack upload speed, a massive reduction in quick hack cooldown by 45%, and finally its best one, the ability of spreading ultimate quick hacks to one additional target. So ultimate abilities like the Cyber Psychosis, Detonate Grenade, and especially my favorite, the Suicide, now almost always upload almost instantly, but they can also target additional enemies. I think it's safe to say that using this makes her potentially way more dangerous than any other netrunner, even compared to Lucy at times. Like you can, for example, go and like just cause a whole building of people to turn into cyber psychos with a simple glance, or have an entire enemy gang mass unalive itself, or if you want to go one step further, just cause everybody's grenades to malfunction in a glorious fury mess. An alternative to that would be the Netwatch Netriver MK5 that we used for Lucy's build, and the one you get from the Ripper Dog in Wellsprings, also at 40 street cred, but in this case you would be making big compromises when it comes to the quick hack speed, cooldown, and especially the ultimate spread that you now be losing. But on the other hand, you will gain a nice 30% boost to quick hack damage and a massive increase to spread distance to already spreadable quick hacks. This is why this is the perfect combination if you want to go with a full contagion build. This is going to make it possible for you to just cause contagion to jump to a lot of enemies, even behind walls or on different like sections of the building. But you are losing on the ability to spread Cyber Psychosis and some of the other ultimates. This is where our attributes come into play and why we went with full 20 out of 20 into intelligence and especially breach protocol. The two total recall perks over here will make the Ice Pick Demon to further reduce quick hack costs by a total of 3 RAM with these passives right here. And if we further add the Head Start perk in the same category, this will make the Ice Pick Demon to automatically get applied when you just start a breach protocol. So all of the other subsequent skills you unleash will cost 3 RAM less. The 3 mass vulnerability perks over here are also very important, just like in the case of Lucy, to further reduce enemy resistances and further increase quick hack damage for a whooping 6 minutes. Finally, Hackathon and Efficiency will shorten the cooldown of all of your quick hacks, giving you a massive boost to RAM regen when uploading 3 or more demons with the same breach protocol, which is always going to be the case with this build between the Ice Pick, Mass Vulnerability, and a final one, which in my case would be the Weapons Jam. Now, the quick hacking tree is also very important. Similarly to Lucy, Critical Error is again a top choice here, letting our quick hacks to now crit based on our crit chance and crit damage. And since, unlike Lucy, Kiwi doesn't really have any firepower or melee capabilities, we will focus even more on critical chance and increasing it as much as possible. Plague and Diffusion further making a comeback for better effective distance and spread for spreadable quick hacks, like for example the Contagion if you happen to use that, and Anamnesis makes it so we never drop below 4 RAM, so we'll almost always have something to use. Also with this build, you don't really have to worry about getting legendary quick hacks. You simply have to unlock these 3 crafting perks right here in the same tree, and you can just buy the basic upgradable variants from any netrunner to then further upgrade to legendary. Now, the cool stat is another one we invested more points than in the case of Lucy, as Kiwi's focus on net running is even higher, and being extra stealthy and having more cold blood stats is one of our ways of compensating with what's lacking from Lucy Lucy's build. So Strike from Shadows is an immediate 7% crit chance increase by simply sneaking, which is just while being crouched. That already increases that by a significant margin. From the Shadows is an even bigger one at 20% additional crit rating, but only activating for 7 seconds upon entering combat, which is enough because you don't need more than that to clear out an entire building. We want to remain out of sight as well, so Ghost actually helps quite a bit with enemy detection, and we also went with the remaining perk called Assassin, more damage versus humans. In the Cold Blood category, our aim for Cold Blood is to get as high as 5 stacks, not just 3 like in the case of Lucy, so the stacking perk here gives us higher bonuses. This lets Quick Transfer perk now make Quick Hack upload time 15% faster at full stats, which means our total upload speed is 90% between this and the Cyber deck we're using. And also Frosty Synapse makes Quick Hack cooldown a further 30% faster at full stacks, on top of the other ones that also reduce cooldown in the Intelligence attribute. And if you are wondering if you can keep 5 stacks of Cold Blood with this build, you can totally do so because you're constantly going to crit enemies, which is going to further give you more stacks of it, more bonuses and more damage, which kind of feeds into itself into a perpetual loop until everybody just dies. For technical ability here, not much to talk about. We're playing on a high difficulty, so we need as much armor as possible from the crafted armor. That's why we're going with this, and the Blade Runner perk also comes in handy with a 40% damage to robot and drone enemies. The final 12 points I've invested into Reflex, even though I didn't go anything deeper into the tree. I just wanted the 0.25 extra crit chance we get for each point invested into Reflex, so we can increase our critical chance as much as possible. And this is how our character would look like if we were to fully deck out Kiwi in Cyberpunk 2077. Outside of the other implants we're using, only the frontal cortex intelligence ones are important here, from the Ripper Dog in Pacifica and the one from Japantown, like the Limbic System for another 7% crit chance. Unfortunately, yeah, kinda nerfed from 25% in recent patches, but we still have the Visual Cortex support for a 30% extra crit damage. And for any Netrunner out there, should not run without an X disc for additional 5 RAM units. Frankly, very important. Now, because we're kind of trying to run undetected, I've also added an optical camo, the legendary variant you get from the Ripper Dog in Santo Domingo, just because sometimes you might want to run in stealthy or an enemy stumbles upon you when you're kinda checking out the surveillance cameras and you're not there with your character. And of course, finally, the weak spot detectors from Victor's Clinic to squeeze as much crit chance as possible out of this build. Now, the typical gameplay involves getting a spot when there's nobody to see you, like just being out of sight, and then pinging the enemies or hacking a camera to stay out of sight. Then you would jump immediately into a breach protocol, which should be super easy now with all of these points invested, and your aim would be to add all 3 extra demons into it. The first one being Ice Pick, already automatically uploaded, so you only have to worry about the other 2. It's especially useful since we also use the weapon glitch from the new update, so enemies will also get the weapons jammer, which will make their weapons to immediately malfunction, so they won't shoot you right away. And from this point on, your quick hacks will cost just 1 or 2 RAM, have instantly fast upload speeds, and damage from all of the buffs that are kind of working together for a perfect balance. This truly brings a whole new meaning to being death itself, the Grim Reaper of Cyberpunk 2077. You just walk through a group of enemies, everybody's mass suiciding left and right because you're just doing it so fast, and it also feels quite cinematic but eerie as well as you walk through them and everybody just does it with their own hands. Or if you feel like it, you can bring a lot of mayhem just transforming a whole building into cyber psychos and just let everybody take care of themselves, or maybe have their grenades malfunction and kinda let them end into a big explosion every single time. Though I will say that I'm kinda disappointed with the detonate grenade mechanic because it doesn't deal as much damage as the other ones. So yeah, totally a build that will never disappoint even if you never touch an enemy. But this is it with the build. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time.